Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Today we're going to learn about registration of Waqf Land and some issues related to this. I have only one slide with 6 main points. Hopefully we can digest in less than 50 minutes. Okay, the first point is about registration of Waqf Land. Okay. There are quite a number of issues with registration of Waqf land. For your information, the land system in Malaysia applies a system which we call torrent system. So torrent system is a registration that requires all land dealings to be registered in the land office. So what are the examples of land dealings? Such as transfer of land, in the case of sale and purchase of land, transfer of land in the case of hibah, gift, or transfer of land as a result of a property pass based on law of inheritance. So in all these situations, the land must be transferred using certain forms required by the National Land Code. So the law that apply for land matters in Malaysia is the National Land Code, and under the National Land Code, there are specific procedures for registration of land. So the issue is that whether this provision relating to registration of land also applicable to Waqf land, because we know that Waqf fall under the state jurisdiction, whereas land, which is also falls under the state jurisdiction but are governed by a general rule that applicable to all states, that is the National Land Code. Okay. The answer is that as long as our Waqf enactment is not comprehensive to cover matters pertaining to registration of land, therefore all land matters including Waqf land still need to be registered in the land office. They have to follow the general procedure. Okay. But if you look at specifically under the National Land Code, there's a specific provision under section 4.2 which exclude actually Waqf from the all the procedures under the National Land Code. But in this case, since our Waqf enactment does not provide the details of how registration of Waqf land is to be done, therefore we still need to follow the provision of the General Land Code, the National Land Code. Okay, so there are a few methods apply or applicable to the registration of Waqf land. One of the common one, as we can see in the second notes, is where the land office will use form 14A to register Waqf land. So the result of the registration using form 14A is that the transferee will get an indivisible title to the land, which means that this title cannot be challenged. It becomes a very conducive title. So this is not in line with the principle of Waqf, because if when a donor transfer his land to SIRC, so the SIRC will be the registered owner of the land. So, SIRC will be named as the owner of the land, the transferee, as a result of using form 14A. Whereas the State Islamic Religious Council is just a mutawali, in other words, just a trustee of Waqf property. So this practice using Form 14A is actually does not really reflect the correct principle of Waqf. Okay, so that is the one of the issues. Okay, the second method of transfer of Waqf land from donor to the State Islamic Religious Council is also can be done using Form 12A or 12B. So where the donor will surrender back his land to the state authority, so the land becomes a state land, and the state authority then will alienate the land to the State Islamic Religious Council. Okay, so meaning to say the land is now the Waqf land will be named under the name of State Islamic Religious Council as a trustee. Okay, so this can be done where the in the memorial there will be a note that the State Islamic Religious Council is a trustee for the Waqf land. Okay, and but the most appropriate ways or method to recognize the ownership of State Islamic Religious Council with regard to the Waqf land is that by using section 416 capital C. So under section 416 capital C of the under the National Land Code, there will be a process which I will explain, which is called a vesting order process. Okay, so vesting order meaning to say the land will be vested under the name of the SIRC. So it is not transferred to where the mutawali will become the transferee, which will get an indivisible title. The SIRC will only be the authority having vested power, vested authority over the land. So this is the most appropriate one, where and the most suggested by the land authority, the state authority, with regard to the registration of Waqf land. The Federal Department of Land and Mines, through the Government Circular Number 8, 1999, has proposed that vesting order under Section 416C of the NLC is the best way or method to transfer Waqf land into the name of the SRC. So there will be no issues about whether the SRC becomes the owner having an indivisible title over the land. Okay. Okay, next issue with regard to replacement of Waqf land. Okay, Waqf land is also subject to the Land Acquisition Act 1960 in the case where the land is needed and need to be acquired for public purpose, for maslahah ammah, for the public interest. So the state authority can acquire any land, any land belongs to any landowner, but subject to the payment of compensation as provided under the Land Acquisition Act 1960. Okay. And also this is in line with the fatwa with regard to Waqf land. If any land is to be acquired, therefore the Waqf land need to be replaced. So in other words, even though it is Waqf land, it is still required to follow the procedures with regard to other land matters, including replacement, including acquisition, but subject to replacement. Okay, so the issue is always it is quite difficult. It is not easy to replace Waqf land with another piece of land of same characteristic, same value, and normally it requires consent from the Waqif or the beneficiaries. But the law, as it is, requires that the land need to be replaced. So this is in line with the law as well as with the fatwa relating to Waqf land. Okay, the next issue is with regard to the status of a leasehold of Waqf land. So under the land law, under the principle of alienation, the state authority under the National Land Code can alienate the land basically for leasehold land. But under special circumstances, under Section 76 of the National Land Code, the state authority can alienate land for freehold in perpetuity for special circumstances. So it is advisable that if the land is Waqf land, therefore the land should be in the category of freehold land. So how this could be done? So in the first situation, of course, if it is Waqaf Irsad, a Waqaf initiated by the government, therefore it should be under a freehold title, not leasehold title. What about a donor, a Waqif, who wants to dedicate, who wants to donate his Waqaf land, his land which is under the leasehold property as Waqaf land? What is going to happen when the period of 99 years leasehold or whatever the balance it is has expired? But this land is going to be considered as state land, land which is free from any consideration, and thus it's like a virgin land, so that the state authority can re-alienate again. So what about the status of Waqf land? So these are among the issues that always raised by the Waqif, because as far as the Islamic principles are concerned pertaining to Waqf, it has to be perpetual. So what is the solution? So in this case, if the land, the Waqif has dedicated his land, whether it is leasehold or freehold land, the land should be or should uh, be converted to the status of freehold land. So so that it is in perpetual. Okay, next issue is with regard to agricultural land. There's provision in the National Land Code which does not allow for agricultural land to be divided, to be subdivided, so that the effect is that the land become less than 1 acre. Okay, except for in Kelantan, most of the state they have this provision. If it is an agricultural land, the effect of subdivision, pembahagian harta pusaka based on the faraid or sale and purchase, it should not be less than 1 acre. Okay, so if we still want to subdivide it, therefore the land should be converted from the status of agriculture to building, for example. Okay, so can a Waqif dedicate his land or a part of his 1 acre of agricultural land as Waqaf land? Okay, because of course the idea is not to allow fragmentation of agricultural land, to defeat the purpose of agriculture if it becomes smaller than 1 acre. Okay, so this is the policy. So as I raised before, so what about if a Waqif want to dedicate part of the Waqf land? Okay, so under the National Land Code, of course,